I knew something was terribly wrong the moment I opened my front door. After a long week away, I expected my little boy to run into my arms and my wife to greet me with her warm smile. Instead, I walked into a scene that shattered me. My wife was curled on the couch, crying so quietly it hurt to hear, while my 5-year-old son laughed nervously with her in-laws, people who almost never visited us. The laughter sounded wrong, forced, like it didn't belong in the same room as my wife's tears. And then I saw it, her sister glaring at me, my son clutching a broken toy, and the fear in my wife's eyes when she whispered, "You came home early." That's when I knew something terrible had happened in my home. I knew something was wrong the moment I walked through the door. After 7 exhausting days away for work, 7 days of hotel rooms, late meetings, and missing my family, I expected to return to the smell of my wife's cooking, the sound of my little boy running toward me, his arms spread wide, shouting "Daddy's home." Instead, I stepped into silence. Then, I heard it. A woman sobbing quietly. And a child laughing loudly. My heart tightened as I moved toward the living room. And there, standing between two completely different worlds, I froze. My wife, Amina, sat hunched on the couch, tears streaming down her face. Across from her, my 5-year-old son, Rayyan, played joyfully with 2 of Amina's relatives, her sister and brother-in-law, people who rarely visited us. They laughed as they tickled him, completely ignoring the storm on the other side of the room. I dropped my bag. "Amina? What happened?" I asked, my voice shaking. She looked up at me, eyes red, lips trembling, and whispered, "You came home early." Her voice broke. I knew then, whatever happened in this house while I was away was something that wounded her deeply. When Amina cried, it was never over something small. She was the strongest woman I knew, patient, loyal, quietly resilient. For her to be sitting like that, while our son played happily with extended family, made no sense. Her sister, Farah, spoke first. "Oh, don't make it dramatic," she scoffed. "She's exaggerating." Amina flinched. Something inside me snapped. "What did you do?" I demanded, my voice colder than I expected. Farah folded her arms. "Your wife overreacted because she can't handle the truth." "What truth?" I asked. Amina wiped her tears and shook her head. "Please, not now." But there was no way I was letting it go. Her brother-in-law, Cameron, shrugged casually. "Relax, man. We were just teaching Rayyan how to be strong. Your wife babies him way too much." My stomach turned. I looked at the toy truck in Rayyan's hand, broken in half. "Amina?" I whispered. She swallowed hard. "They yelled at him. Called him weak. When he cried, they punished him." My heart stopped. I turned to the 2 adults sitting comfortably on my carpet. "Is that true?" Cameron smirked. "It's called discipline. My father raised me the same way." "That explains so much," I cut in sharply. Farah stood abruptly. "We don't have to listen to this. We came here to help." "Help?" I laughed bitterly. "Breaking my son's toy? Making him cry? Insulting my wife in her own home?" Amina trembled beside me. "They said I'm raising him wrong. That I'm making him soft." I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. "Get out." Farah gasped. "You're choosing her over family?" "She is my family," I said firmly. "And so is my son. Leave." Cameron muttered something under his breath, but they both left, slamming the door behind them. As soon as they were gone, Amina covered her face and burst into full sobs. I knelt beside her. "Hey, talk to me." She shook her head. "They came every day while you were gone." "I didn't want to bother you, you were so stressed with work." I gently pulled her hands away so she could look at me. "What did they do?" Her voice broke completely. "They pressured me. Told me I was a bad mother. That Rayyan needed discipline. That I was making him too emotional. They yelled at him when he refused to eat something. They dragged him by the arm when he cried. They broke his toy and said it would teach him to value things. I tried to stop them. I argued. But they kept saying I was overreacting. And Rayan started laughing with them today only because he was scared of making them angry. My chest burned with anger. And why were you crying just now? I asked softly. She closed her eyes. When Rayan finally smiled, I realized it wasn't happiness. It was fear. He was smiling because he thought if he didn't, they would punish him again. And I felt like I failed him. Like I couldn't protect him. Tears blurred my own vision. Amina, I whispered, you didn't fail him. You protected him every second I wasn't here. You stood alone against people who were older, louder, and more aggressive. You cried because you love him. She leaned into me, weak with exhaustion. I thought you would blame me, she whispered. Never, I said, kissing her forehead. Never. That night, I sat with Rayan, gently asking him about what happened. He hesitated, then whispered, Mama cried because I was bad. My heart shattered. No, I said softly. You weren't bad. They were. He blinked up at me. They said boys shouldn't cry. Rayan, I said firmly, boys can cry. Daddies cry too. Mama cries. Crying doesn't make you weak. Being kind makes you strong. He nodded slowly and wrapped his small arms around me. Amina watched from the hallway, tears silently falling again, but this time, they were tears of relief. The next day, Farah and Cameron returned angry, defensive, ready to attack. But I was ready too. Amina stood beside me confidently now, her eyes no longer filled with fear. We're done allowing anyone to disrespect our home, I told them. If you can't treat my wife and son with kindness, you're not welcome here. Farah glared. You're making a mistake. No, I said calmly, I'm correcting one. Cameron shook his head and stormed out. Farah followed. When the door closed, Amina let out a long, shaky breath. You stood up for us, she whispered. I should have always been here to do that, I replied. But you are now. Over the next few days, Rayan slowly returned to his cheerful self. Amina's smiles came back. The house felt warm again. We talked openly, forgave ourselves, and strengthened what had been shaken. One evening, as we sat on the couch, the same couch where I'd found her crying, Amina rested her head on my shoulder. Thank you, she whispered. For choosing us. I held her hand. I'll choose you in every life, I said. Rayan crawled onto our laps, hugging us tightly. Family, he said with a little grin. Amina kissed his head. Yes, baby. Family. And in that moment, I realized something important. Family isn't determined by blood. It's determined by love. By loyalty. By who stands with you when it matters.